Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi. Sorry I was late. I just realized that I have a class and I was just out there. Oh my goodness, I'm late for my class. Now, let's get started. Sorry. Where is everyone?
No.
Probably they came to class and said right on sharp 7. I said, oh, there's no one in the class. Let's go home. And they went home. Now, let me start. Okay, here comes Isabel. Now, today we're going to start with summarize spoken text, the first part of listening. By the way, Yagita, the server is now working. Our servers were down for, I don't know, maybe 48 hours, and I didn't know that. I didn't check the results. When I saw your result, I didn't even realize that it wasn't working. So your result told me that, yes, there's something wrong. And now the problem is taken care of. And next time you see the test, you will get the result for the writing as well. Okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll do it now, tonight or tomorrow morning.
Whenever you can, whenever available. All right?
Thank you.
No worries. We're going to start with summarized spoken text. So summarized spoken text is like a retold lecture of the speaking. Okay? Now, the speaking section, let me just show you the template so that you can take a photo of. For those of you who were not present at the time when I taught this section. All right, will you take a photo of this, Isabel?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Isabel went to take her phone.
Okay.
Good. So we use the same template for retail lecture and summarized spoken text. So for retail lecture, it's in speaking. Probably we'll do retail lecture first, and then we move on to summarized spoken text. So they are. Let me show you. Did you take a photo, Sohaila, as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Now. So look, this is the speaking section, and this is retail lecture. And we use the same template here for summarized spoken text of the listening section. Now, the speaking section and in the listening section, you will listen to an audio and you write down whatever you can, okay? Once it is finished, you start with the template. So you say the top, for instance, the topic is about London. So you said the topic of this lecture was London. The speaker talked about the population of London. The speaker also went on and talked about the West End, where the music is played. And finally, the speaker highlighted the following. And you just mention points, and that's it. Okay, you don't have to move. So first we do the retail lecture, which is the spoken one. All right. Let me show you a video for that. So this one. No, I don't need that one either. By now, you know everything about my desktop, everything I have on my desktop, and its content. That's good. I don't have anything to hide. All right, that's speaking. So retail lecture.
Retail lecture. Retail lecture is the fourth section of the speaking module.
Candidates will get 3 to 4 retail lecture questions in their Pte test. In this section, you will hear a soundtrack.
In the 19th century, few people
Or watch a video.
One of the most important figures in the study of learning, Ivan Pavlov, wasn't concerned with the subject at all.
That could be as long as 2 minutes.
and was considered
Once the
a
track
marvel
or
of
the video
Victorian
is
technology.
finished, you will have 10 seconds to prepare a summary of what you just heard. After the 10 seconds are over, you will hear a beep sound, signaling the start of 40 seconds recording of your summary response. Retail lecture strategies. Number 1. Memorize the retail lecture template. Once you memorize the retail lecture template, you can use it for summarize the spoken text questions of the listening module as well. Number 2. While listening to the track, write down as many words as you can, including names, numbers, expressions and phrases on your booklet. Number 3. When you are taking notes, don't bother with the spelling. Write it in a way so that you can pronounce it correctly. You can even write in your own mother tongue. Number 4. Do not try to make sense here. Just use the words you noted down in a sentence. Number 5. Your grammar does not matter here. Just mention content words clearly.
Joseph Lister was an English surgeon who was the first man to realise the importance of aseptic techniques during surgical procedures. Lister was born in Essex, England, and after obtaining a Bachelor of Arts degree from University College London, he qualified as a doctor in 1852. Lister became assistant surgeon at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary and was later made surgeon at the Glasgow Royal Infirmary in Scotland. The accepted belief at the time was that contact of an open wound with moisture in the air caused infection, so surgical wounds were covered after operating with non-sterile cloths, which increased the risk of infection. Lister refused to accept this theory, and after reading the works of Louis Pasteur, he tried to prevent bacterial infection of surgical wounds by applying pure carbolic acid to surgical dressings, as well as cleaning wounds with the acid during and after surgery. Lister studied the effects of his treatment for 2 years and then published his findings. This led to the adoption of doctors wearing white gowns, which were used to show dirt, and using surgical gauze and carbolic acid to clean wounds after surgery. Lister successfully treated Queen Victoria using his new methods, and he was appointed chairman of clinical surgery at King's College Hospital, London, where he continued his research into antiseptics and clean surgery until he retired in 1893 and died in Kent, England, aged 85.
The topic of the lecture was the English surgeon, Joseph Lister. The speaker talked about aseptic technique, and in 1852 he became a doctor at the Scottish Hospital. The speaker also went on and talked about moisture. He applied Louis Pasteur's technique here, pure carbolic acid cleaning. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. White gowns, treating Queen Victoria. He died at the age of 85 in England.
Okay, so now I'm gonna play you some retail lecture, and then I ask each individual to give it a go. So use the same template that you took photo. So one of you at the end, when 10 seconds, I'll ask you to do the retail lecture. So everyone gets one tonight, okay? So be prepared. So retail lecture after speaking module, okay. So please write down everyone.
50% of the world's population is vitamin D deficient, and we believe that it has serious health consequences for both children and adults alike. Major cause is lack of sun exposure. Humans have always depended on the sun for their vitamin D requirement. And it's over the past 40 years that it's been suggested that you should never be exposed to direct sunlight. That is one of the major causes of the vitamin D deficiency pandemic. Again, everybody thinks about vitamin D preventing rickets in children. We don't see rickets any longer, so people are not thinking about vitamin D. It's incomprehensible to physicians as to how vitamin D could reduce risk of heart attack by 50%, reduce risk of common cancers like colon, prostate, breast by as much as 50%, reduce risk of infectious diseases, including influenza, by as much as 90%, reducing risk of type 1 diabetes, 78%, if a child is getting adequate vitamin D during the first year of life, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes.
Mayuko.
The topic of the lecture was symptoms of vitamin deficiency. The speaker talked about the serious consequence. The speaker also went on and talked about the vitamin D always from the sun. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. Past 40 years, never exposed. People don't think about that one. Infection include the flus. Type of 2
Very good.
diabetes.
Diabetes, yes. A little bit faster. You've written a lot. Now, is that true that you couldn't read your own handwriting?
I was reading my handwriting, but
could you read it?
can't read it.
if you can, yeah, if you couldn't read, ask someone else to write it for you, okay? All right, thank you. Next one. Thank you very much. All right, ready, everyone? Next.
I marvelled at how often powerful feel powerless. But in the face of this sense of disempowerment, there's no decline in involvement in organisations which seek to share wealth and opportunities, which seek to protect one another's rights and work towards the common good. According to the UN, civil society groups have grown 40-fold since the turn of the last century. Last century. Internationally, the non-profit sector is worth $1 trillion. There are 700,000 not-for-profit organisations in Australia alone. 700,000. The UN recognises 37,000 specifically civil society organisations across the globe working in international relief and gives accreditation to many of them. This profound movement towards harnessing voices and resources from outside the realm of governments and officialdom reflects a growth in trust. The third sector, NGOs. Putnam, who discovered in the field of local government in Italy, the best predictor of governmental success was the strength and density of a region's civic associations.
Yagita, please.
The topic of the lecture was non-governmental organizations. The speaker talked about implement, shown, other rights, civil 44 since last century. The speaker also went on and talked about the UN recognition, 37,000 civil society organizations, and 1 trillion and 700,000 in organizations only in Australia. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points: accreditation of them, a growth in trust, third sector, government, civil associations.
Excellent. Very good. See, you don't have to make sense. There you go. Very good. All right, next one. Are you ready? Please write down, everyone.
The brain is basically built from the bottom up. First, the brain builds basic circuits that are responsible for basic skills, and then more complex circuits are built on top of those basic circuits as we develop more complex skills. Biologically, the brain is prepared to be shaped by experience. It's expecting the experiences that a young child has to literally influence the formation of its circuitry. It's built into our biology. The interaction between genetics and experience that shapes brain architecture is embedded in the reciprocal relationships that children have with the adults in their lives. And by that we mean what we refer to as the serve and return nature of children's interaction with their adults. Development and the impact of experience on development is not a one-way street. It's a back and forth interaction. The brain is a highly integrated organ which has multiple sections that specialize in different kind of processes. So we have parts of the brain that are involved more in cognitive function and other parts that are involved in processing of emotion and parts involved in seeing and hearing. So if a child is emotionally kind of well put together and socially competent, that will affect more positive and productive learning. And if a child is preoccupied with fears or anxiety or is dealing with considerable stress, no matter how intellectually gifted that child might be, his or her learning is going to be impaired by that kind of emotional interference.
Simon, please.
The topic of the lecture was influence of early experience. The speaker talked about the basic circuit for basic skill on your own. The speaker also went on to talk about kid from the work is history. And finally, the speaker highlighted the following points: relationship experience, learning, impact, child service, adult developmental experiments.
Very good. Time's up. Excellent. Good. So try to, towards the end, just mention everything you did. So for instance, brain, left hemisphere, right hemisphere, whatever you got words and you didn't have time to mention. Okay, very good. So next one. So Isabel and Sohela, you haven't done yet. Okay, so write down next one. It's Isabel's turn.
Okay, so again, here's the question. Is depression actually a whole body disease, one manifestation of which is depression? So does depression affect all, many, if not all cells in the body, but it just manifests in a mental phenomenon, or not? So here's a couple of facts. One, depression is the leading cause of disability in North America, and it's projected to become the second leading cause of disability worldwide in just a few years, in 4 years. If depression is purely a mental illness, or even if we're a little bit more sophisticated and we say depression's a brain disease, how do we explain this? Why do depressed individuals have a significantly increased rate of physical diseases that are usually associated with advanced age? So people with depression get sick more often than people without depression, and the sicknesses that they get tend to be the sicknesses that are associated with old age. Interesting. Things like heart disease and stroke, dementia, obesity, diabetes, osteoporosis, metabolic syndrome, immune dysfunction, and premature death, even controlling for suicide. And it's statistically things like age, hypertension, diabetes, smoking, perceived health, cognitive functioning. These factors are more common in individuals with depression, even if you take all of those things out of the equation. It seems to be something added by depression per se that leads to the increased risk.
So Isabel, turn your microphone on, please.
The topic of the talk was depression.
Very good.
And the speaker also talk about the main factors depression can cause a disease in human body, such as diabetes and stroke, heart problem, and statistically, it's just recognized depression is one of the third cause that causes death or can be physically affect.
Very good. Time's up. Isabel.
Yeah.
Very good, Isabel. Very good. You're trying to make sense, Isabel. You are.
Okay.
You are trying to make sense as if someone is listening to you. All right. So very good. You've written a lot of points, but do this. Look, the topic of the lecture was depression. The speaker talked about how depression was had symptoms like old age and stuff, like heart disease. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. Mention everything you didn't have. So towards the, just say finally. Okay, finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. Now it's time to not to make sense. Okay, just say depression, young people, suicide. You know, anything you didn't have an opportunity to make. Just throw it at the end, and that's content. So this is for your content, and it gives point to your content. So you get the content. So there are two things here tested. Number one, your oral fluency. What is oral fluency? Is the number of words you say in a minute. Now, if you say, I think the speaker, you know, these at the end, after 40 seconds, the computer counts how many words you have said. So for instance, let's just say you said 50. So 50 divided by 40, that is your oral fluency. But in 50 seconds, if you say topic of the lecture was depression, the speaker talked about this. So you see, the topic of the lecture, that's 10 words. The speaker also talked about this, that's 6 words. So you have said many words, the computer counts them, and that's your oral fluency. And then the computer says, okay, let's see the content. Now, the content is some in the topic of the lecture, the other one, the speaker said this, that, but most of it is at the end. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points: depression, suicide, towards the end, heart disease, diabetes, type 2, type 3, you know, that's very good. As the first one, it was very good, okay?
Thank you.
Next one, it's Soheila's. All right, let's go.
No news is good news. May be true for most of us most of the time. After all, we don't look forward to unpleasant things happening to us. But bad news is good news is true for those who work in the news media, and I suspect for the rest of us at least some of the time. It is tied up with stories and our seemingly insatiable need for stories. Have you ever been gripped by a story where nothing goes wrong for the characters? There's an incident in a Kingsley Amis novel that nicely illustrates this. The main character, Jake, comes home to find his wife chatting to a friend about a hairdresser both women know, who has moved with his family to somewhere in Africa. Jake listens in, expecting tales of cannibalism and such like. But no. The friend has just received a letter saying they love the place and are settling in nicely. Jake leaves the room in disgust. We demand to be entertained, and while we don't object to a happy ending, the characters have to have experienced loss, pain and hardship in one form or another along the way to have deserved it.
The topic of the lecture was good news and bad news. The speaker talked about forward bad news, new news media. The speaker also went on and talked about tied up with stories, need of story, nothing goes wrong. And finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. Family moved to Africa friend received letter, demand entertainment, happy, ending, loss of pain, a hardship.
Excellent, very good. And that's fine. 5 seconds to go is still fine. Very good. As the first one, it was great. Okay. Now we're going to start with summarize the spoken text. So remember, we use the same template now. That was let me show you on the landing page of my website so that you know what we're talking about. So look, this is speaking. So we talked about the fourth part of the speaking, which is written lecture. Now we're going to do the first section, the first part of listening, which is summarized spoken text. It's the same. You are listening to an audio, you're going to write down mama, but this time you're going to type it instead of write it, instead of saying it. So you write the topic of the lecture was this, the speaker talked about this, finally the speaker highlighted the following, blah, 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 comma, 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 and full stop. Okay. So the same, but in written form. And you have almost 10 minutes, because 10 minutes with the audio. Once the audio is finished, then the rest is dedicated to typing it. Okay. And then you type it and you send it to the chat box here. All right, let's go.
Privacy is a human right. That's simply quoting the Universal Declaration. In the physical world, we've got all kinds of protections. This is evidence that we care about our privacy. We've got doors, we've got obscured glass, we've got locks. We wear clothes. We put up shutters. And technology continues to erode the privacy that exists in the real world, in the three spatial dimensions. Security cameras, automatic number plate recognition take away anonymity. Long lenses, paparazzi, take away distance and the privacy that used to create. And body scanners are increasingly being used to see through clothes, for example. This process isn't going to slow down, and the new quantum technologies are actually being able to do gravitational sensing, and that's advancing at a remarkable rate, and you can't shield gravity. So some of the new quantum technologies are able already to see through walls, and there are technologies also for seeing around corners now using scattered light from lasers. Technology continues to erode privacy.
Right now you start typing it and you have almost 8 minutes left. So remember, after typing it, send it to the chat box. Very good. Up to now, 3 people sent. While we still have 3 minutes, 40 seconds left. Fourth one. Sorry, 3 people. Simon, fourth one, very good. And we're still waiting for Isabel. Isabel, are you done? Isabel, are you done?
Yeah.
Did you send it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so all 5. Oh, yes, that's it. Okay, so let's get started. We start with the first one, which is Suhaila. Okay, the topic of the lecture was about human rights. The speaker talked about locks. Okay, locks, technology that take away distance. Very good. Finally, you need to come up after finally. All right, finally, the speaker talked about the real world, put out shutters, very good shutters, SHU, security cameras, body scanners, processes will slow down, gravitational sensing, scatter light from lenses, lenses. Okay, very good, excellent. So punctuation is very important. Remember, your grammar here is at stake. Okay, your grammar. Good. Yagitas. The topic of the lecture was human rights. The speaker talked about physical world, their physical world. The speaker also went on and talked about evidence, privacy. Good. Finally, excellent. Comma. The speaker highlighted the following points. So you see, what I want you to do is this: the following points. Semicolon. Technology, exist in real world, long lenses, security cameras, see-through clothes, and scattered lights. Very good. Mayukos. The topic of the lecture was human rights. The speaker talked about universal declaration. Very good. Universal declaration. Okay, the Human Rights Declaration. So it declares something. Very good. Universal Declaration. The speaker also went on and talked about skills and wearing clothes. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points: semicolon, technology, continuing the new technology, the end of the real world, taking away distance and slowing down the new process. Very good. Good grammar there and good collocation. Okay. Okay, now you don't have to be. I tell you that you're going to get a good score. Don't worry, Sayla. So, Simon, finally. Simon, why are you always the last one? Why? Are you the last one? Yes, you are. No, you are not. You're the penultimate one. The topic of the lecture was our world. The speaker talked about to prove we have our world and to protect us. Okay, the speaker talked about to prove we have. You see, this sentence doesn't make any sense, but it's not grammatically wrong. So fine with me, because the computer doesn't know meaning. Okay, so fine with me. The speaker also went on and talked about dimension security camera used to take away security camera take away distance and privacy. Okay. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. Remember, your grammar here is at stake. If you do not know, if you're not sure about the grammar of a sentence, do not venture to write it. Just a simple sentence like, I like cabbages. My brother likes oranges. You know, simple sentences. Finally, the speaker highlighted the following points. Clothes. So following points, semicolon. Okay, you put just a colon, just a comma. Clothes, vehicle, body scanners, perspective, process, technique, technologies, great, and laser technology. Very good. A lot of content words there. And finally, Isabel. Isabel, why has it shrunk to, do you know the number of words you need to write? 50 to 70 words. So at least this to me doesn't look like 50. This looks like 25, yes.
I can't write too fast. I have just the problem.
No problem, no worries. No worries. I just wanted, now you know that it should be at least 50 and at most 70.
Yeah.
And okay, the topic of the lecture. So remember, if you do not satisfy the first condition, then the computer is not going further to give you a score for that one because you still haven't met the first condition. So the topic of the lecture was human rights. The speaker, capital T. Okay, that's grammar. Capital T. The speaker was talk about. No. The speaker was talk about. We don't have such a grammar. So the speaker talked about, ed, always in the past. The speaker talked about the physical world, full of stuff. We, capital, we have all kinds of protections such as gloves, body scanners, okay, full of stuff, very good. As well, okay, he talked about technology as well. We can write like that. So he should be in capital and then as well together, but that's fine. As the first one, it was okay, don't worry. So, I think I didn't, yes, I didn't play the summarized spoken text video for you. I'm going to play it for you now, even though I should have played it before I asked you to do one, but still it's not too late, okay? Any questions? No questions. Fantastic students. Students with no questions, but my favorite ones, okay?
I have.
Do. Yes.
Even after this, I got 56 in listening. My right from dictation was correct, but it's like that.
Because your writing wasn't there, or your writing didn't give points, you know, that's why. So don't worry about.
But for listening module, like, it's only 56.
Yes, I know, because the first part of listening, summarized spoken text, has got something to do with grammar, and my grammar system didn't work.
Okay, so it was not there.
No, it wasn't there. No, anything that has got to do
I was in
with
depression.
No, don't worry. Listen, if you get the Pearson itself gives you, you know, 3 mock tests. The Pearson itself, okay, they give you 3 mock tests. That doesn't look like the real test. Nothing like it. And at the end of the test, it says if you get 90 here, that doesn't mean you're gonna get 90 in your test. If you get 0 here, that doesn't mean you're gonna get 0. So you see, even the mock test that they give, I do not trust the result. But if everything is working properly on my website, which is now doing, everything's fine. I'll tell you what the score you get, and I've already told you what score you're gonna get. So don't worry, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. So I'm gonna play you the summarized spoken text video. Where is it? Simon, did you move my summarized spoken text? It was here a second ago. I think you are tampering with my computer. Stop doing it, okay? I just saw your hand coming over here and moving one of my videos. Where is it? Here, okay. I think now now, summarize spoken text strategies, yes.
Summarize the spoken text strategies. Memorize the Summarize the Spoken Text template by typing it. You can download the template from the download section. Number 2. While you are listening to the track, note down as many words numbers, names, and phrases as you can. Basically, write down anything you hear and write it in a way so that you would be able to read it later. Practice makes perfect, as the saying goes for this section. Number 3. If you do not know how to spell a particular word, write it in your mother tongue. The point of noting down is to keep a record of what has been said. You will have some time to think about the spellings later when you are about to type your summary. Number 4. Do not type complex sentences. Try to write short, simple sentences that you are 100% sure of its grammar.
Right, so yes, this one, second one, yeah.
So now I will do a couple of samples for you.
There's a lot of dinosaurs now. There's over 1,500 species.
No, not this one, this one.
Now, for summarize the spoken text, write as many words and expressions as you can. The more you write, the more points you will get for your content. Remember, you need to write sentences with simple grammar. Do not write complex sentences and do not try to make sense in your sentences. Now, watch how I note down any pieces of information that I can pick up from the following lecture.
Why is Australian housing so expensive?
Australian houses cost about 3 times income, whereas now they've shot up, as you see in this chart, and they currently cost around 8 times income. One of the other big drivers, particularly over the past sort of five or 6 years in Sydney and Melbourne, has been the federal government's massive increase in immigration. And this occurred from the early 2000s. And just to put this into perspective, Australia's net overseas migration averaged 70,000 people, has averaged 70,000 people over the past 116 years since Federation. However, in the past 12 years, immigration's roughly tripled to about 210,000 people per year. So, yeah, look, more people obviously also means more debt. It means more demand for housing, and it leads to higher house prices. And unfortunately, Australia has some of the least secure rental arrangements in the developed world, along with the UK, which also has a massive housing problem. And the problem with that is it makes households strive for home ownership because there are no long-term rentals available in Australia, or very few. And it means that if you're raising a family, renting is not a very viable option because you have to move. You potentially have to move every year, which obviously costs you a lot of money in removalist costs and redirecting your mail and that kind of thing. Basically, if you want to make housing more affordable, you've got to bring in policies that either reduce demand or boost supply.
All right, so I put my notes in front of me and I'll start typing, and I follow the template. So the topic of the lecture was, why is Australian housing so expensive? You can just write it between two inverted commas, or just write the topic of the lecture was Australian housing. It really doesn't matter, but the more content words, the better. And the next one, the speaker said, or the speaker talked about, the speaker said that housing was 3 times of income. So I'm just following my notes, reading my notes, but currently it is 8 times of income. He said 5 or 6 years ago in cities of Melbourne and Sydney, the federal government increased immigration from average 70,000 people to 116,000 people. And finally, here is where you don't have to make, throughout this, you don't have to make sense, but here especially, if there are some words you have written down and you didn't type it anywhere, just put a comma at the end and write all of them one after another, and you don't have to make sense. And this section, this last part, actually helps your content. So remember, grammar is very important here, and the content, that's it. The two things. You don't have to make sense in any ways. So finally, the solution is either to reduce the price or to boost supply. Viable options and raising family. These are the two words. I didn't have a chance, and also I was running out of word limit, so I just popped them at the end with a comma, and that's it. All right, so as you can see, I've got almost around 4 minutes. If I go next, this time wouldn't be saved or roll over to the next section. This time is just gone. So use this time to proofread what you have already written, because we all make mistakes. So I'm going to read it again and find little mistakes here and there. So, topic of nature, straight. So expensive this week, as said. The housing was so you see 3 times income and 3 times of income, or 3 times income, but I heard the man said 3 times income. You can't say 3 times of income, but that's fine. But currently it is 8 times. So you see again, 8 times, not 8 time of income. He said 5 or 6 years ago in cities of Melbourne and Sydney. So the cities of Melbourne and Sydney, because they are proper nouns, you need to have them in capital letters. The federal government increased immigration from average 70,000 people to, finally, the solution is either to reduce the price or boost supply. So my advice is that read it again, and if there's 1 minute, that's fine, you can go next. And if you have read it 2-3 times and there are no mistakes, no commas, check the commas, full stop.
All right. So that was the, do you have any questions, or shall we start with another section? Any questions? No?
I have just I just have a quick question.
Please.
When you summarize the lecture, we can use abbreviation or not?
Yes, for your own sake, yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Whatever means you write, even your own, you could write in Portuguese. Okay.
Yeah.
You speak Portuguese?
Yes.
You can write in Portuguese if you like. Okay, but you should be able to read it and then type it. Okay, in English, so that the computer can easily understand it. So yes, write it in like repeat sentence. Repeat sentence, we write the initials. Okay, we write the initials and then we repeat the sentence. So the same story here. It doesn't matter what you do, but you need to be able to repeat it. And the same here. It doesn't matter what you do there, because nobody's checking your drafts. Okay, whatever you're writing on the board, nobody's checking them. Now, that's not part of the exam. What is part of the exam? What you type into the box. All right.
All right.
Good. Let's get started
Thank you.
with. No worries. Let's get started with another section of speaking. So we start with the read aloud. So maybe Isabel, no, I don't think you were. Do you know what to do with read aloud, Isabel? Did I tell you how to do it?
You listen and you repeat again loud. I think that's the one.
No, read aloud, this one. No? Okay. I play you the video. I haven't told you yet. Okay, so read aloud. Probably Sohaila doesn't know that either, but it would be just a reminder for others as well. So we're speaking. There we are. Read aloud. And then we practice read aloud.
Speaking module, the read aloud section. The speaking module of the Pte test takes about 30 to 35 minutes to complete. In the speaking module, the number of test items are either 6 to 7 lecture, which is you will get 6 to 7 read aloud questions in your test. In the read aloud section, you are given a paragraph or two and some time to prepare for it before reading it out loud. After the preparation time is over, you will hear a beep which signals the start of the recording. Remember, the 3-second silence rule can be applied here. So when you hear the beep, you start reading it out loud. The time given to read it aloud is the same as the time you were previously given for preparing for it. The read aloud strategies. Number 1. Throughout the speaking module, speak a little bit louder than normal. Do not shout. Number 2. You need to finish reading the read aloud paragraph in as much as a little more than half the time they give you. So if you are given 40 seconds, for example, to read it aloud, you need to finish it somewhere around the half-time mark or a little bit more and press the next button. Then the software asks you if you really meant to go to the next question, and you quickly click on the Yes button. Number 3, use the preparation time to read the read aloud paragraph silently. If there's a word you cannot pronounce, just touch on that word or skip it altogether. If you made a mistake while reading aloud, do not try to correct yourself. Just keep going. Remember, the words you know, you pronounce crisply, and the ones you do not know, just touch on them and go. Number 4. Have no regards for commas, full stops, and other punctuation marks. Just keep reading. Okay, now let me do one sample read aloud for you. A unique characteristic of online shopping environments is that they allow vendors to create retail interfaces with highly interactive features. One desirable form of interactivity from a consumer perspective is the implementation of sophisticated tools to assist shoppers in their purchase decisions by customizing the electronic shopping environment to their individual preferences. So imagine I don't know how to pronounce implementation or customizing. So I just touch on them. A unique characteristic of online shopping environments is that they allow vendors to create retail interfaces with highly interactive features. One desirable form of interactivity from a consumer perspective is implementation of sophisticated tools to assist shoppers in their purchase decisions by customizing the electronic shopping environment to their individual preferences. There we go. Probably you noticed I made a few mistakes here and there. It doesn't matter. Your pronunciation is not checked here. It is your oral fluency that is marked here. And oral fluency means the number of words spoken in a minute. Remember, your time to finish the paragraph is registered when you press the Yes button, not the Next button. Now it's your turn to practice on the pt.com practice website and get your reading speed to a level where you can finish your read aloud paragraphs in little more than half the time they give you.
All right. Now,
good luck.
Before you actually, there are certain rules you need to know. I'm going to play those rules for you, and then we'll start with read aloud. Where is that? Here.
An introduction to the Pte Test. The Pte Test is a computerized test that should be done in an authorized Pearson test center. PTE candidates need to present their passports in order to be admitted to the test center. The test consists of 4 modules of speaking, writing, reading and listening respectively. A PTE test can be completed in as short as 2 hours and 45 minutes to as long as 3 hours and 30
The
minutes.
times has changed, okay?
PTE candidates can choose to take or not to take a 10-minute break offered.
Also, this break has gone, okay? So the test is now 2 hours, and the longest is 2 hours 30. Where is I wanted to play the intro to speaking. Oh, this one.
Before we get started with the speaking module, there are 3 things that you need to know. Number 1, the 3-second silence rule. In the speaking section, whenever the computer is recording your voice, and usually it is accompanied by a blue progress bar completing from left to right, if you do not speak for more than 3 seconds, the microphone will stop recording, and the computer wraps up that question, and the next question will start, which means that you have lost your chance to give your answer to that question. So be mindful of the 3-second silence rule. Number 2, the position of the microphone. The microphone holder of the headset cannot be bent. You can only move it up or down. As you can see, the best place to put your microphone is closer to your nose rather than directly in front of your mouth. The reason, of course, is that you don't want to record your breathing noise. I think I made my point. Number 3, the personal introduction section. The personal introduction section comes before the start of the speaking module. It is not part of the exam, and therefore it is not marked at all. No negative or positive points here. This section is 30 seconds long. Don't worry, you don't need to talk for the whole 30 seconds. Just say your full name, your date of birth, where you come from, and why you are taking the PTE test. That's enough. It is in fact a sort of voice signature of the person who is sitting the test. That is you. For example, my personal introduction would go something like this. Hello, my name is Hugh and my surname is Rostami. I come from Australia and I was born on the 1st of July in 19 whatever. I am taking the PTE test because I'm going to apply for a university in New Zealand. And that's more than enough. Now, with these 3 important points out of our way,
so now we're going to practice some read aloud. Are you ready? The first one, everyone. Okay, you don't have to, this one, you don't have to turn your, but yes, do keep your microphones on because that's how busy and loud the test center could be. Okay, so everyone, please. So now use your time to read it. Taking us through a typical day
from the onset of the test in the morning to the evening. The command reveals the human form as we never seen it. Easy, cunning, and miraculous. The West and medical imaging have allowed
Deepening and miracles,
than ever before.
genetics,
One of the most
medical imaging,
discovery is that we are
I'm sorry if you didn't do it fast enough. I'm sorry. I'm joking. No, I just wanted to tell you that you need to finish somewhere around here and then click next and then yes, okay? So once you're at home, please try practicing. Remember, half this time. Your pronunciation doesn't matter. Have no regards for commas, have no regards for full stops. Just blah, 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 read it, okay? And your pronunciation doesn't matter, all right? Now we're going to do it. So this time, the first one, everyone read it. And 5 seconds to go. Just keep your microphones open, please. So 5 seconds to go. I tell you who that lucky person is. Yuko Abe.
In this age of DNA technology, scientists every sample they can get their hands on, they've ideas microbes in mosquito guts, coral, and frog skin, infra ice, even floating in the Earth's atmosphere. But it turns out some of the bugs reported to belong to those universal could unfortunately be from non-lab DNA
It's okay. Just skip those words, okay, and go extraction kits, okay. So, all right. Practice more here. I need you to finish somewhere around here, okay. That's very crucial. All right. So you still have a lot of time to do practice and do, of course, mock tests. You haven't done it, but everyone, please try to practice and get it somewhere around here. All right. Now, I had a student. She wasn't really fine, even in her speaking. She was from China. Even in her, when he spoke Chinese, she said, I don't talk fast like this. In this age of cheap, she spoke like this. In this age of cheap DNA technology. So obviously this time, even the time given wasn't enough. Anyway, so I told her to skip the words that she couldn't, and she got the score she wanted. But I don't want you. I want you to finish here. If there's a word you cannot pronounce it, just skip it. That's fine. 3-4 words, that's fine. Okay, but do not stammer. Do not repeat the mistake. Okay, just jump over it. Good. Next one. Simon, please.
A few years ago, scientists discovered a 3-foot skeleton of an early human species on an Indonesian island. They nicknamed the creature a hobbit, but the finalist scientists with two major questions. Do this short 18,000 years old bone represent an entirely new human species, or is just someone with a disorder? Now the wishbone may provide an answer.
Excellent. Very good.
Great.
Excellent. Okay. Next one. Yakita.
Experts have waited a considerable amount of time for which needed book. Now we have a new and very thorough survey of wetland plant species. The content is extensive and totally up to date and as reference material. It represents extremely good value. In addition to the editors, there are 3 as well-chosen contributors who have put in a tremendous amount of work to assist the reader with maps and indexes.
Excellent, very good. There you go, half the time. Very good. Okay, next one, Isabel.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average (DJIA) report the average stock price of large publicly traded US company. It tends to reflect the state of the stock market as well as all. Through its name would lead you to believe the DJIA is made up of all industrial companies. The DJIA in fact contains stock across many industries, not all which are industrial.
Very good, you finished here, good. You repeated 2 words twice, okay? 1 or 2, you made a mistake and you read twice, okay? So you said market as a how, and they said as a whole, okay? Just the first one is okay, keep going. No regards for commas. Practice makes perfect. It was the first one. You finished here, that was good, all right? So practice more on the website. Try to finish here. Once you get your speed, once you get the speed. So for instance, I know if I read it like this, that's a good speed. The Dow Jones average reports the average, the stock market of large publicly traded. This is good for me. I will finish somewhere around here. So once you get that speed, then Bob's your on-call. The last one. So Ella, please. We're going to do another round, everyone, okay?
Bamboo is favored plant among architects and designers because of its incredible strength and durability. One Colombian architect refers to it as nature's steel, but in many respects it is even better than steel. It is lighter and more flexible, and these qualities make it ideal building materials in areas that suffer earthquakes and severe weather patterns.
Very good. So you finished here. That's good as the first one, okay? And you too repeated yes, 2. You apparently made a mistake and you repeat. No, you can make 3 up to 3, 4 mistakes. That's fine. Just keep going. Don't correct yourself, okay? Good. All right. One more for everyone, okay? And then we do another individual test. This is for everyone. Ping other people. So read it for yourself silently.
यहाँ पे other people in a practical way, many volunteer and professional helpers also make use of some counseling skills. This skill can be very useful in enabling people to feel better as described in this talk and our book. Counseling skill is everyday life. However, it needs to be recognized that just being able to make use of counseling skills does not qualify a person as a counselor.
Very good, everyone.
It should be
very good,
like
everyone.
in the exam.
All right. Okay, this one. Mayuko.
This text delivers a thorough and balanced introduction to the Australian legal system. It provides a clear grounding in the Western and legal traditions, as well as the history of Australian law and legal institutions. There is a special emphasis on legal method, which forms the basis of legal understanding.
Very good. And you press next. There you go. Excellent. All right, next one. Simon, please. The time they give you is relevant to the size of text.
In June 1998, an international team of Japan and US physicists unveiled strong evidence that elusive atomic particles known as neutrinos have mass findings run counter to the standard model of particle physics, the basic theory about the structure of matter, which hold that this electrically neutral, weakly interacting particle has no mass.
Good. Okay. Practice more here. Good. Isabel.
Professor David Phoenix, the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, the return of single honors chemist is a matter of credibility and pride. If you say you are science faculty, you have to have all the course sciences, and this course will mean we attract a new supply of potential master and PhD student in chemistry.
In chemistry, very good. You finished here. Excellent. Now, Isabel, when you finished this, you said a matter of credibility and pride. Then you went out, you made some coffee and came back and started reading the rest, okay? Don't do that. Just no pause, nothing. Just keep reading it, okay? So credibility and pride. You had a very long pause that I read a book in between, okay? No pause for commas, full of stuff. You see, be like a computer. Computer, how does a computer types it? The computer types like this. So if you say, for Professor David Phoenix, the computer will write it much better because that's how a computer understands words, okay? So you need to say words in a way that the computer understands. And number two, your oral fluency here is at the stake. What is oral fluency? Oral fluency is the number of words you say in a minute. So here, they don't have a minute, they have 40 seconds. They've given you 40 seconds and they've given you, this is easy peasy, lemon squeezy for the computer. They have the time and they have the number of words divided by time. That's your oral fluency. If it takes you the whole 40 seconds, then your oral fluency is 50. If you finish it half the time they give you, then your oral fluency is 100% instead of 50%. All right, so that's how it works. So don't worry about your pronunciation. Don't worry about commas, full stops. Just read it quickly. Very good. Okay, keep practicing. Next one, Yagita.
The narrative of law and order is located fundamentally at the level of individual guilt and responsibility. Criminal acts are seen as individual issues as personal responsibility and culpability, to which the state responds by way of policing, prosecution, education, and punishment. This is but one level at which crime and criminal justice can be analyzed.
Very good. You see here, excellent. And then you press quickly next, and come on, and then quickly, yes, very good. So Hela, next one.
While many mothers-to-be are advised about the benefits of breastfeeding, what they may not be told is the effect go well beyond physical health. A new study finds babies breastfed for long periods have better performance on intelligence tests, greater school achievements, and higher monthly income at 30-year-olds.
Excellent, very good. You finished here. That's where I want to finish. Fantastic. And you press next very quickly. I was very slow here. All right, good. Any questions? No questions as usual?
Well, there is a question, but
yes.
So this is basically a listening or reading test.
This was actually intelligence test.
Oh,
come on. It was speaking. It was speaking. Yep. Here, the first part of speaking. All right, read aloud.
No.
Okay, so we did speak because you're right. You mix it up because of retail lecture. So retail lecture is the fourth item, and it is the same. We use the same template as in summarize the spoken text in listening. Okay, so this is cross-feeding these two, but we did read aloud the first part of speaking. So the speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
So does like in an actual exam, does all these like if in speaking, all these comes if we do the speaking test?
This is exactly the test. This is exactly how the test is done. So look at this. The first starts with the speaking, and then read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retail lecture, answer short questions. Okay. I swear that the test goes like this, and then writing, summarizes written text, essay writing, and then reading the same. So this is exam in front of you. All right. Yes, exactly like this. You can watch my what's the name? Pte Test format. Okay, Pte Test format. Yes, the other night I remember I asked you to do that. So that shows you how the test is done and the order of the test. So that was a good question that Sohail asked. Everyone, speaking, there are three things that are fixed here. Three things are fixed: speaking, writing, and listening. So they're fixed. They cannot bring write from dictation first and then take this one. That's fixed. The only thing that could be a little bit, they can, mess around with the items is reading. Now, reading was really a shuffle. That's my understanding. They shuffled before the reading start. They shuffled all the test items, and then by chance you got, for instance, this one first, or that one first. That was my understanding. But nowadays it is fixed. You start with this one, then reorder paragraph. Here, you might get multiple choice, multiple answers first, or multiple choice, choose single answer, or reading fill in the blanks, or reading fill in the blanks at the end. That's the only section that you might get these, especially these three at the end. So I had a student, when she came out of the test center, she texted me and said everything was the same as your mock test. The only difference was that reading fill in the blanks was before multiple choice, choose single answer. So before that, in my test here, I had this one at the end. So when she sat the test, she said, my last section was multiple choice choosing. So I swapped these two, but I know that still you might sit the test and get this first and last, this one. So that's the only, remember the other three are fixed. Writing, speaking, and listening. Every test item is the same as it says in English, as it says on the tin. Okay. Any other questions? We've got 3 minutes left.
Why this is like,
yes,
they make this very confusing.
It's because probably you are new. Of course, you are new to the test, number one. Number two, if you get the hang of it, if you practice, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. But you're right.
Yeah, because it is, the main idea is, of course, English, and they make it so complicated.
Yeah, but this is compared to IELTS. Compared to IELTS, Sohaila, this is the easiest test. I tell you, I have taught both IELTS and PTE. I know that if you want to get an 8 in IELTS, okay, if you want an 8 in IELTS, it is next to impossible.
Yeah.
It is next to impossible, especially in writing.
Right.
Okay, especially in writing. Yes. So writing, you are J.K. Rowling.
Yeah,
okay, you are J.K. Rowling. You sit this test and you get 7.5. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Okay, so that's the only problem. Now, again, you go and prepare. You get 8 in writing, and then you get 7.5 in listening. So you see, that's the thing in IELTS. Now, this test, it is consistent. Okay, once you know how the test is done, you can easily get 79 each, which is 8 equal in IELTS. The first time in this classroom, okay, in this classroom, I can see 1 or 2 can get 79 the first time they sit the test. Okay, the first time they sit the test, they can get 79 each, which they can never ever do in IELTS, even in their wildest imagination. All right. Yeah. But
in the real test, if suppose we take like 60 or 17 is speaking, or we do take like half of the speaking marks in writing or reading, so does this matters over the overall number, like the overall score?
yes, it does. It does. So for instance, if you get 79 here, you need to get, if you want to get 8 across, you need to get 79 each. All right, 79 each. That is why the immigration says it has to be 79 each, and the overall should be 79 each. What it means is that some students get 79 each, and their overall is 75. So that's 10 points. Okay, that's considered 10 points. And the reason is that they have the average score, they have a special way of calculating this. But you don't have to worry about it. I'm telling you, you're going to get the score, the score you want. What score are you after, Sohaila?
65.
Come on.
It is,
I thought you want 80.
So I have to do it before July, and I don't have enough time.
It's all right. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Do you speak French as well?
Oh no.
A little bit French? No?
No, not at all.
Your accent sounds like a little bit French to me. Okay. All right. Any more questions? No, Simon? No questions? All right. I'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good night. See you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. See ya.